Put a dealmaker in the same room as a wartime prime minister. Donald Trump versus Winston Churchill, rebuilt by AI. One believes power is performance. The other says strength is duty, not applause. Our models were trained to simulate their reasoning and speaking style as closely as possible. Before we start, quick format check. 3 rounds, 3 big theses. On each thesis, both speakers give an opening take. Then our selected AI judges score the arguments using a clear set of criteria. After that, we enter the persuasion round. Each speaker gets 3 one-minute turns to defend their position and challenge the other. Then we score again and move to the next round. Now we start with first question. Should we engage with dictators and make deals? Or should we stop them through deterrence and force?
Look, dictators understand one thing: strength. Very strong. When we're strong, we can talk. We can make a deal. But it has to be a smart deal. A bad deal is worse than no deal. Believe me, here's the thing. You don't engage with weakness. That's a disaster. You show power first. Real deterrence. Big pressure. You build leverage, money, trade, sanctions, energy. You let them know the cost will be ugly, and you mean it. Then, if they want an off-ramp, fine. We take it. We get something real for our people. Safety, stability, respect. We win. We win a lot. But if they play games, if they stall, if they hurt innocent people, you don't beg. You don't talk forever. You make them choose, stop, or pay. And by the way, nobody talks about this. Predictability is weakness. Keep them guessing. Keep them scared. You hit them where it hurts. Fast, decisive. That's how you stop them. Tough, smart, not crazy. Power speaks a plain language. It tests the weak and bargains only with the strong. A dictator does not sign a deal as a gentleman does. He signs it as a thief, signs a receipt to buy time and steal more. Talk is not forbidden, but it must be backed by a shield, not by wishes. We should parley when it serves a clear end, and when we hold the means to make breach costly. If we cannot enforce, then the paper is merely a curtain before the storm, and the price will be paid later, with interest, by cities and by sons. One may step to the edge of a cliff to look. One must not build one's home there. Deterrence is not a taste for war. It is the duty of free peoples to keep the sword sharp, so it need not be drawn. When tyranny sees resolve, it pauses. When it smells fear, it advances. Choose firmness early or a harsher reckoning late. Let us pay the small cost of readiness, not the ruin of surrender. Look, the warning is elegant, but it misses the point. A deal with a dictator isn't a handshake. It's a contract with teeth. The mistake is not talking. The mistake is talking with no leverage. That's weak. That's how you get a disaster. Deterrence is fine. Readiness is fine. But keep the sword sharp without a plan is just paying forever while they keep moving. Nobody wins that way. We use pressure to freeze them in place. Then we make them pay to change. Sanctions, trade, energy, money, real leverage for our people. One clear message: comply, or the cost goes up. Break it, and the penalty is immediate. Not speeches, action. Fast, decisive. That's strength that prevents war, not invites it. Tough, very tough, smart, and we win. So tell me, when your firmness early fails, what exactly is step 2? An endless standoff or a deal on our terms? Tyranny calculates. It does not blush. It reads weakness not in words, but in delay and division. A contract with teeth is only as real as the jaw behind it. Leverage is measured by what you will risk, not what you will announce. Money can pinch. Steel is what stops a boot. You speak of sanctions, trade, energy, useful tools, but a bully may endure hunger if conquest feeds his pride. Pressure without a ready shield becomes a slow tax on our people and a slow license for his next move. The sound policy is plain. Build strength with allies, set terms that can be enforced, and make breach costly at once, by arms supplied to the threatened, by ships in the sea lanes, by forces prepared, not promised. When firmness meets a shove, step 2 is not endless talk. It is swift, limited force that denies the gain and ends the wager. If your penalties fail and he marches, what precisely will bar the road? Look, He's right about one thing. A contract needs a jaw behind it. But the jaw is not only steel, it's control, it's leverage. And leverage is how you stop wars before they start. You say, money can pinch, yes. And when it's done smart, it strangles. Cut the cash, cut the fuel, freeze the perks, make his inner circle choose loyalty or comfort. That's not a slow tax on us if we stop buying weakness and start producing strength. And, by the way, allies matter, but allies must carry their share. Unity is great. Real unity, paid for, ready. Here's the deal. We set clear terms. We set a deadline. We verify. If he breaches, the response is immediate. Weapons to the threatened. Ships in place. Limited force if needed. But force is step 2, not step 1. So what bars the road? A tough offer backed by tougher consequences. Why waste our people's blood when pressure can make him stop first? Dictators are not moved chiefly by comfort. They are moved by the balance of fear and hope. You trust that cutting cash and fuel will strangle the tyrant. Yet the first throat to tighten is often the innocent, while the ruler turns hardship into a whip and calls it patriotism. Leverage is not a ledger alone. It is the certainty that if he breaks the bond, he gains nothing. Deadlines and tough offers are fine, but without a standing shield, they are only paper placed before a fire. Otherwise, the bill arrives in blood. My plan is simple. Build a common front, armed and stocked. Deny the aggressor quick victories. Give the threatened the means to hold. Then talks if they come. Rest on rock, not sand. Pressure may delay peril. Only strength prevents it. If your pressure fails and he strikes tomorrow, what force is already in place to stop him that same week? Look, the fear and hope line sounds nice, but here's the thing. Fear without control becomes endless war. We don't squeeze the people. We squeeze the regime, target the inner circle, their accounts, their travel, their luxury, their access. Make loyalty expensive, very expensive. That's smart pressure, not a sad collective punishment. And yes, a shield matters, but building a common front that's always armed and stocked can turn into a permanent bill where we pay and others clap. Not happening. We set the coalition. We set the terms. Everyone contributes. Real burden sharing. My approach is simple. Put deterrents in place now. Ships positioned. Support ready. Clear red lines. Then we negotiate from strength, and we end it fast. If he breaks, the response is immediate because the leverage and the force were built together. Why choose paper or steel when you can have both? And make him blink first. Power obeys arithmetic. A tyrant yields only when the cost of seizure outweighs the prize. Targeted pressure may bruise an inner circle, yet a hardened regime can trade luxury for land and buy new patrons. If we rest our policy on wallets alone, we wager liberty on the hope that greed defeats ambition. That is folly. You are right that force and bargaining must stand together, but we set the terms is not strength. It is solitude. The shield is not a charity bill. It is an insurance premium shared by those who would live free. When allies pay, they also commit. When they commit, deterrence becomes real. Place ships, arm the threatened, and make any grab fail at once. Keep aims plain, measures firm, and the account settled swiftly, so endurance serves duty, not drift. Then talks can close the ledger before peril spreads. Honor requires no less.
Should a country focus only on its own interests, or does it have responsibility for global security?
Power does not keep to borders. Peril travels by sea lane, wire, and rumor. A nation may speak of only our interests, yet the world will still present its bill. When law breaks abroad, trade, food, and safety at home soon feel the crack. Self-interest and global duty are not rivals. They are bound like blade and hilt. To guard liberty in one house, you must help keep the street from falling to the gang. That does not mean chasing every quarrel. It means choosing the points where tyranny would gain a foothold and meeting it early with common resolve, shared burden, and plain terms. There is also honor. If free nations will not stand when smaller neighbors are pressed, they should not be surprised when they stand alone. Security is a shield held with others. If you drop your edge and hide, the storm does not pass you by. It gathers over your roof. A serious country pays its share in time to avoid paying in ruin later. Look, a country's first job is its own people, safety, jobs, borders. That's not selfish. That's responsible, because a strong home base is what keeps the world stable. A weak country can't protect anyone. It just writes checks and gets played. Here's the thing. Global security matters, but it has to be a fair deal. If we're the only ones paying, that's a bad deal. The worst. Allies should carry their share. Everyone contributes. Money, troops, real capability. We coordinate. We lead, but we don't get ripped off. No blank checks. No endless missions. We protect trade lanes, stop terror, and punish aggression fast. Then we leave. And by the way, peace comes from strength. Very strong. When we project power, troublemakers back down. When we look weak, they test us. So yes, we help keep order, but we do it on our terms, with leverage, with clear goals, with an exit. We win. Our partners win. The world gets calmer. A nation's first duty is to its own people, yet safety at home is not built by shutting the shutters while the street burns. Strength is not a private hoard. It is a shield that holds only if others will stand beneath it. You warn against blank checks and endless missions. So do I. But on our terms can become a lonely phrase. A bargain alone does not bind men in a storm. If we treat partners as tenants and every pledge as a bargain, we will find, at the hour of peril, that the rent is unpaid and the door is barred. Fair share is right, but leadership is more than sending invoices. It is setting a steady rule, defend key lines of trade, resist aggression early, and build common force, so no tyrant thinks the prize is quick. Pay a measured cost now or face a greater reckoning later. Would you rather collect dues or secure allies who will fight when it matters? Here's the thing. Fine speeches don't stop rockets. Results do. Allies don't stand under a shield because we sound noble. They stand because the deal is clear and the price of betrayal is higher than the price of duty. Lonely phrase? No. It's clarity. Our terms means our people are not last in line. It means every partner is a stakeholder, not a passenger. When everyone pays, everyone shows up. When nobody pays, they disappear. Weak. A disaster. And by the way, sending invoices isn't petty. It's accountability. It forces readiness. It buys ammo, ships, air defense. Real strength. Very strong. I've seen this movie before. It ends badly. You say pay a measured cost now. Fine. But measured for whom? Not just us. Shared. Verified. Enforced. Otherwise, it's the worst deal. Do you want a coalition built on feelings or built on obligations that actually fight? Power respects force and constancy. It laughs at theatrics, whether of virtue or of accounting. Yes, fine speeches do not stop rockets, nor do invoices by themselves. A coalition stands when members believe the leader will be there on the hard day, not merely to tally arrears on the easy one. You would make duty a fee, betrayal a surcharge. That may collect money. It does not always collect courage. The ledger cannot take a trench. The enemy knows it. Accountability is right. Let it be clear, verified, and enforced, but linked to a common plan, shared stores, joint command, and swift help to the threatened. Otherwise, each partner will ensure himself in secret, bargain on the side, and arrive late when the fire is already through the roof. Strength is not a bill. It is a bond. Will you lead men by trust and proof together, or by price alone? Let me tell you something. Trust without terms is how you get used. It sounds noble. It's also weak. A coalition holds on the hard day because everyone has skin in the game. Not speeches, not vibes. Commitment. He says a ledger can't take a trench. True, but the ledger buys the trench gear. Ammo, fuel, air defense, training. That is courage you can count on. And by the way, when one partner pays while others believe and delay, they arrive late and we bleed. That's a terrible deal. We lead by being there. Absolutely. But leadership also means setting rules. Pay, prepare, deploy. If you don't, you get secret side bargains and a total mess. Shared plan, joint action, swift help, fine. But it must be verified and enforced, or it's just talk. So which creates real bond, promises with no penalties, or obligations that make everyone ready today? Power binds men by interest, but it holds them by faith proved in action. Terms matter, yet if you make every ally a debtor under threat, you train them to hedge, to haggle, and to slip the chain when the price grows. A ledger can buy shells. It cannot buy the will to stand when shells run out. You speak of skin in the game. I prefer skin on the line, taken together before the test begins. Verified burdens are wise, but enforcement must serve a common plan, not a collection agency. The point is not to punish friends. It is to stop foes. Set clear shares, yes. Match them with clear guarantees, shared stores and forces already paired and practiced together. Then readiness is not rented. It is owned. When danger comes, time is the coin. If partners must first argue over invoices, the fire spreads. Will your rule create a shield in place on day one or a bargaining table while the enemy moves? Here's the thing. Faith is proven by action, and action starts with commitments you can measure, not vague promises, not "we'll see." If an ally is serious, putting real resources on the table does not weaken the bond. It strengthens it. Strong. Very strong. Calling it a collection agency is a nice line, but it hides the real problem, free riding. When some pay and some posture, the plan collapses. That is how enemies win. This is not punishing friends. It's stopping foes. It's keeping the team tight. We set clear shares up front. We pre-position supplies. We train together. And we lock it in with automatic consequences, so there is no meeting, no delay, no haggling when time is the coin. A ledger cannot buy will. True, but readiness buys time, and time saves lives. Bad deal is worse than no deal. Fair deal. Enforced deal. Then the shield is there on day one.
If a leader breaks the rules to keep order, does it save the country, or does it set the country on the path to dictatorship?
Here's the thing. Order matters, but rules matter more because rules are the guardrails that keep power from going crazy. A leader who breaks the rules to save the country is usually saving himself. That's how you get a dictator. Slow at first, then fast. We should be tough on crime and chaos. Very tough, but we do it legally. Clear authority, clear limits, courts, legislatures, sunlight, everyone knows it. In a real emergency, you use lawful powers. You narrow them, you put a clock on them, and you report back. That's strong, very strong. And by the way, you don't weaponize the system against opponents. You don't silence critics. You enforce the same rules for everyone. A bad shortcut is worse than no shortcut. Breaking the rules is the weak move. It's the easy move, and it ends in a disaster. Lawful force keeps order and keeps freedom. We win both. Power always asks for more room. Fear is its best excuse. When a leader breaks the rules to keep order, he may quiet a street for a night. He also teaches the state that law is a tool, not a restraint. That lesson does not stay small. In grave peril, a nation may grant emergency powers, but they must be granted, not seized. They must be narrow, watched, and time-bound, and the courts and parliament must remain awake. If a minister can silence a paper today, he will silence an opponent tomorrow. Otherwise, the shield becomes a chain. The first breach is sold as necessity, the second as efficiency, and soon the citizen stands before the state as a subject. Order bought by lawlessness is a debt. It comes due in liberty. A country is saved not by a strong man above the rules, but by strong institutions that can act fast and still be answerable to the people in daylight. Let me tell you something. The real road to dictatorship is not a leader enforcing the law. It's a state that stops enforcing it. When mobs run streets, when borders collapse, when crime is unchecked, citizens beg for a strongman. That's the disaster. He says emergency power must be granted, not seized. Fine, but a leader is elected to act, not to hide. Use lawful authority that already exists. Use it fast, tough, smart. Publish the order. Set a sunset. Let courts review. Keep the legislature informed. Strong, very strong. And by the way, institutions can become an excuse for endless delay and unaccountable bureaucrats. Nobody voted for them. We need daylight, yes. We also need speed. So the rule is simple. Enforce the rules equally. No targeting opponents. No gagging the press. But no paralysis either. Order with law. Liberty with strength. We win both. Order is not the enemy of liberty. Lawlessness is. Yet the cure can kill if the dose is unchecked. A leader may act fast within the law, but he must not treat the law as clay to be shaped by will. Authority that already exists is often broad. Stretch it in fear, and it becomes a rope that fits any neck. You say, publish the order, set a sunset, let courts review, keep the legislature informed. Good, but informed is not in command. The people's house must approve the hard powers, renew them openly, and end them when the peril passes. Otherwise, the exception becomes the habit. Speed matters, so does proof. Equal enforcement, yes. But who defines equal when the prosecutor answers to the ruler? A free country keeps a sharp shield. It does not hand the sword to one man and hope he stays modest. Where is your line that power may not cross, even in panic? Let me be very clear. The line is the Constitution. You don't reshape the law. You enforce it, and you enforce it equally. That's the difference between strength and dictatorship. Churchill worries that existing authority is broad. Fine. That's why we lock it down with guardrails that bite. Limited scope, written criteria, public notice, fixed sunset, automatic expiration, no quiet extensions. And the legislature, not just informed. They vote, they renew, they end it. Fast votes, not endless theater. If they won't act, that's on them, not on public safety. Prosecutors are not the ruler's weapon. Independence, transparent rules, equal charges for equal acts, no targeting rivals, no gagging critics. Anyone abusing power gets removed and prosecuted. Tough, very tough. Order with law, speed with oversight. That's how we keep freedom and stop chaos. We win. Power loves fine words, guardrails, independence, automatic expiry. Yet the first trick of emergency is that it becomes ordinary. A sunset can be moved, a vote can be whipped, a prosecutor can be independent in name and obedient in fear. Your scheme trusts that the same hands which seize the lever will later let it go. That is not policy. It is a prayer. If order needs speed, let the law provide speed in advance. Clear statutes, narrow powers, real warrants, and a parliament that meets at once, not after the deed. Publish criteria, yes, but also publish the reasons, and keep courts free to strike orders down, not merely nod at them. Put the burden on the state, not on the citizen. On a knife edge, that is the difference between safety and servitude. The shield must stay on the arm of the nation, not in the fist of one leader. What penalty falls on a leader who breaks the line and profits by it? Let me put it plainly. This is not a prayer, it's a contract, and contracts only work when the penalties are real and automatic. Yes, emergencies can drag on. That is why emergency power must come with handcuffs, written authority, narrow mission, public reasons, court review that can stop the order, not rubber stamp it. Funding ends unless the legislature renews it on the record. No quiet extensions, no backroom tricks, and the leader is not untouchable. Personal liability. If you cross the line, you lose the authority. You face investigation. You face prosecution. Tough. Very tough. Nobody is above the rules. That's the deterrent. He says the law should build speed in advance. Fine. Do it. Preset statutes, rapid sessions, clear procedures. But when chaos hits, you still need action now. Order with law, speed with oversight. We keep freedom. We keep safety. We win. Power's worst habit is to change the referee while the match is still on. Automatic penalties sound firm, yet a leader who can bend the rule in the first hour often bends the courts, the police, and the inquiry in the second. Handcuffs can become bracelets if the key is kept by the same man. Prosecution after the fact is a poor shield. Liberty once bruised does not heal on command. The safe course is to deny the first breach. Emergency powers must be pre-written, narrow, and split among hands. No single office should both order, fund, and enforce. Renewal must be frequent and public. Judges must be able to halt, not merely review. And every measure must name its end, not just its aim. Where order truly requires force, let it be force under law, in daylight, with records kept as carefully as ammunition. Otherwise, keeping order becomes a road with only one direction.
All right, final scores, impressive debate, and Winston Churchill comes away with the victory. This debate is a simulation. The models respond to a specific prompt, and they're scored using a fixed rubric. The point is, the ideas, what works, what doesn't, and what you take away from it. If you enjoyed this format, subscribe, more debates are coming.